boy. The class I know probably the least about. This is going to be interesting.
I kind of figured.
It's very different, right, from all the other classes.
Yeah, I've been looking at the class Discord a
Mhm.
bit.
Are there helpful people in there?
Yeah, I need to do the all skills, everything, and I haven't done those really. So I have to do those.
What have you not done?
The all skills, so have like all the buffs from all the four different.
Right. So that when you use the hyper skill, you get like a huge.
Yeah, I get. I think I have to. I don't have my leopard set probably, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't have those.
Oh, that's like a lot of. Is that IED? There's like a 40% IED or something in there.
I'm not sure. I haven't checked those really.
Yeah, I remember just looking at like what are the most important attacking skills, and once I had that, just scrolling down, seeing some giant buffs, and then making sure I would would get into those, so that during the whistle you get all of that going. But yeah, let's get started. So welcome, hello. I see that you are a level 253 Beast Tamer, and yeah, what's cool? What's poppin'? What are you doing? And how can I help you today?
I think in short, I think I started reboot like EU reboot like 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I basically only started doing Legion and Links.
Mm-hmm.
I moved from Luna, the regular server Luna, because it was dead. Like
Okay.
we did it. I'm in the same phase. I had like 8.5k Legion and full Link skill, so very
Okay.
bad moving, but.
So
And
that was
now
a big difference starting over.
Yeah, starting. It was a struggle getting the first character link.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 5-shotting everything, like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, you get that new player experience again.
Yeah. And then this Beast Tamer is from the Ignition event, basically. I started reboot really maining this.
Oh yeah, so when you came back in Destiny, you had like what was like a hyper burn and a hyper burninator.
Yeah, I took like a little break and then came back to reboots when the Ignition began, the hyper burning.
I see.
This Beast Tamer.
And you're on EU now still, or on NA?
Yeah, EU. Still.
EU, yeah. Yeah, that can't beat that ping, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to, and it's still populated enough that you get like MVPs and kills.
Yeah, and I usually make the comparison of like being in NA is kind of like being in the city, and then being in EU is more like being on the countryside, where because there are fewer people know each other better. It's like it's like easier to connect with people. But when you have way more people tend to be more disconnected and do their own thing and being their own groups. So that can actually be harder.
And you get the good maps free.
Yeah, I mean now I guess with totems gone, you can on average find way better burn anyway, right? With totem spawn not being a thing anymore. But yeah, you always hear people in EU be like, "Oh, I'll just walk into the first VC3 I find if I like a, level 7 or 8 burn." It's like, well, that's never gonna happen in NA. It's like if you find a level 1 or 2 burn, it's a huge thing.
Yeah, all right. But for Kieranakot was I think in the classical position of starting to move to Arcane. I haven't yet done any clears, but I think stat-wise and everything, I know I can party very easily.
Yeah, and I mean you're mainly a support as well, right? So you don't get to people don't expect as much damage from you. But I assume that because of what you've already done on Luna, you know the mechanics and you know everything, so you can progress pretty quickly that way.
Yeah, I was on the same place as Luna, but I didn't start on Lucid or Will on Luna.
Okay.
I could have started there also. I had like 25k stat, 30k stat, but I didn't bother joining a guild and starting because I knew why I was moving.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, yeah. There's some interesting stuff to do with Beast Tamers and. In Lucid, like you can fly over the dragon in like a tornado and attack while you're hanging in the air and stuff.
Yeah, I did a few tries on easy Lucid, like to see how it works.
Yeah, the dragon is the same mechanic and everything, right? So if you can make sure you don't get hit, then it's the same on hard. The only problem is, I guess, if you're hanging in the air and attacking, is that a golem could spawn underneath you and then hit you, right?
Yeah, I died a few times.
Yeah, that can happen. But I mean, if you're dying to the breath or dying to that, you were dead either way, so might as well sneak in some damage while you're doing that. Okay. So how would you say that you? I see you made a lot of progress already. So, how much would you say you play like on a weekly basis? How much money are you making these days, like weekly?
I think over the holidays, I think when school was out,
Mm-hmm.
like I played a lot. But now my school is starting, so it
I
might
see.
vary a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, like all the dailies, maybe like an hour of training, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So like 2 hour
like
on
2,
weekdays.
3, 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Weekends a bit more, but it could be like decent hours also.
Okay. All right. And income wise, because I don't think boss mules or anything like that is not really on point yet, right? Most of your investment is still going into the BT.
Night Lord is my second, but that can only clear like 3-door CRA and like second boss like 400 mil maybe from that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think during training I done like 30 minutes. I think it's like 200 mil, so I think like 450 mil an hour, like from farming.
Yeah, and you're still on the build up for Legion coins and everything as well, so you can't go as hard there.
Always out of those.
Yeah. I mean, it's a valuable resource, and your Legion is definitely not bad or anything, so that's good. That's good progress there. I guess the Blaze Wizard is losing a little bit of Legion power because it's naked, right?
Yeah, it was burning, I think, in the summer or something. I need to put those some stuff.
Probably, judging by the cape, probably. That's very common to have like a character like that with one cape and no other clothes on. Pretty common occurrence. All right. And so, what kind of content do you like doing? Is it just you're just trying to progress, trying to get Arcane? Do you have any specific goals in mind that you wanted to reach?
Probably like Arcane and then see beyond, but at least like Lucid Wheel, and then see whether I am like motivation-wise and time-wise.
So just clear the boss, or get to like 5-set Arcane?
Arcane. Or? I think Arcane like 17 and like push further.
Okay. And how would you say your general knowledge of the game is? And maybe like I don't know if for my stream, like my commands and stuff. How much have you seen of that?
A bit. I have used the Flames score, calculate and everything, but I think I don't know how much different it is for reboot and like regular server, but I'll say it's good, decent.
Yeah, it could be different. There's a bunch of stuff you can forget, right? Everything about scrolling and all of that stuff, and safeguard, the protection scrolling and all of that stuff, and yeah, I mean, when you have like chaos scrolls and icogs and all of that, and pet scrolls for accessories and all that, you don't have to worry about any of that. So I think it simplifies the game quite a bit, but it does mean that the systems that are left, that there's a lot more pressure put on those, because that's where all your damage comes from. So it's it's good to have that understanding. Usually when I go by kind of just seeing where people are, I've got the progression and the dailies grids. Have you seen these before?
I think I've looked at those.
These are specifically made for reboot, right? Because there's so much stuff going on, so you can kind of track like where you're at, and because you said like you think you're ready for those bosses. So I would see, just to check it, I would just look at these and kind of see if you are at that point. So you're like at the 250, so it'd be like the early stages here of the late game for me, or at least for when I made this grid. Of course, with hyper burn, feels a little bit weird to have you be immediately into late game for people who just started, because then the level doesn't really track the other stats, right? So what for most people who are burning is going to happen is that they're going to be level wise in late game, but their other stats are going to be like more stuck in mid game. But I guess if you look at those stats, I kind of look at where you are. I think you've edged into at least early late for most of it, if not all of it, right?
Yeah, it's like end of mid and start of late, like the middle.
Yeah, you got the IED. You got those base metrics already like towards the end of late, but even Legion level wise, you're in there as well with a pretty new account. You see Star Force wise, you're yeah, there you go, 237, 235, right in there. It's good for me as well as a. Oh no, these are Star Force. Sorry, that was the damage. Yeah, so 265. So Star Force is a little bit on the lower end. Just probably just waiting for the next 5, 10, 15 event, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
and
you can see it in gear.
Yeah, having a little bit of trouble getting backups at this point, probably. That just takes a little bit of time. You can't really push that too far. Yeah, and then goes into the details of like weapon flame and all that stuff. I'm assuming that's what you have as well. That's a tier 6, right? 73, is it? I never know with these. I never know with these things, with these weapons. The flame on your weapon. Do you know what tier that is offhand?
You mean like the scepter or like
the magic attack? Yeah.
I think 73. I think slow.
So it might be a 5 then.
Yeah, no, the Abso. Yeah.
I always have the yeah, it's the 5. Okay, yeah, yeah. So 97 would be a 6. Okay, so it's tier 5 with damage. Yeah. Oh yeah, we can keep this one open. So to compare, you can always check like how much would it cost you to reflame it, right? There we go. I don't know why that was selected. Just a tier 6 plus the same. Not that much damage. Looks like that would be like a bill or a little bit more to gain 24 magic attack. So that's not too bad, right?
Yeah, I think for those it's like, because it's just a fake Abso, I don't know if I should get a real Abso and then flame that probably, or
yeah,
go straight for Arcane. Like that's probably one of my questions.
Sure, yeah. And that is that's a pretty common question, pretty normal question. For me, the standard is always, are you comfortable with the damage you have right now? Can you kill what you have, like what the kind of content you're doing right now comfortably? Or are you just struggling and do bosses just take way too long? Since you're a support, that might feel a bit more the case.
Like Lotus and Damien is like, it's pretty fast, like easy, clear. But I don't know like Lucid and Will, how those go.
Yeah, there the main thing is going to be that you are supporting your party and adding a lot of damage to them and knowing how to do that properly, right? So I'm assuming like knowing when to use the hybrid doesn't work for teams, but it's the cat skill, yeah. Using that at the right time, using your own burst at the right time to make sure that you can still burst in the same window while you also buff them for their burst, that kind of stuff. If you do that properly, then your whole team should still get elevated by a whole lot of damage, and you should be like worthy of your spot and be carrying your own weight as long as you're, you know, timing all of that properly. The going for a real Abso now would just be just like icing on a cake, just to make that a little bit faster, but it will mostly make your own your own personal runs faster, right? If you're doing this for a solo run, you're gaining the speed there, but if you're thinking about doing it for Lotus and for Lucid and like Will, your personal upgrade is not gonna, it's gonna be like 1/6 of the whole party's upgrade, right? For the whole speed of the run, but even less because you're support, so your personal damage is proportionally a little bit smaller. So maybe it's gonna be like, I don't know, like 11% or something of the upgrade. So if you make yourself 10% stronger, but it's only 11% efficient, then you're only going to make the whole run like 1.1% faster or something, right? So if that's why you're doing it, that's probably not very efficient. But if your own personal runs could also become a lot faster because of it, it's really like a time frame thing. If you think like now you're ready, and I think you are, right, for Lucid and Will, and you can immediately start running, I don't think there's any pressure to go for a real weapon. What I would like more is to just hold on to your money and focus on pushing the items that you're going to be pushing anyway, like CRA and stuff like that, and maybe the shield, right, and trying to get all the 17s there, maybe even push for some 19s and get your damage from that. And then when the real arcane weapon comes in, then you go hard on the arcane weapon and you kind of skip the whole full real Abso weapon step, and then the money that has gone into CRA will, you know, be 100% efficient because you're keeping those CRA pieces, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I would look at it. But yeah, if you feel like you're really struggling and nothing is dying, and it takes like hours to do Lotus and Damien and all of your own bosses, and you know you don't find a full party, or you're going to be doing normal lucid for a while before you switch from normal to hard, that kind of stuff, depending on if you don't play that much. But it seems like you play a decent amount, so you're going to hopefully keep progressing at a pretty decent pace. Then I think it's totally fine to just hold and wait, go straight for Arcane Weapon. Yeah,
I think is it the first piece that you get, or to get the gloves, or
that's another thing. So typically now it's more likely that you get an armor box at some point before you see a weapon box, or before you have enough drops from an individual boss to buy the weapon. So you'll probably get the gloves from the box, right? When it comes to crafting, that's really kind of the same thing, where it's like, do you really need damage now? Do you want damage now? Like, does the same party also want to do like maybe kill slime or something, right? And is it like everyone needs to really be pushing their damage for slime because he heals so much, and we don't want like a full half-hour run on that? Then it might make sense to make the weapon earlier if you have that option. But again, like if you have the luxury to not have to wait, and your party can do what it needs to do, and you solo can do what you want to do, then the longer you wait, the more of a leap you can make in an upgrade instead of a little step or a little jump. And in the end, that'll be more efficient for this situation. So yeah, it'll depend on your patience and on your RNG, but but I don't think there's any I don't think there are any bad options there.
I think for the VSA, is the one the secondary that is not the shield, it's useless, right?
Yeah, the Mother Nature Whisperer, yeah. I didn't know that Beast Tamer could use shield for the longest time. I mean, I've known for a while now, but for a long time I thought they had to use the whistle as well. Yeah, I guess you have the option to roll whenever you need to. You're missing some magic attack there, but I wouldn't touch the secondaries at all. But yeah, eventually you go for the shield, like you said. And you can go up to 20 decently early, because it's pretty easy to get backup recipes for, right? So it usually it's like CRA first, and then shield is like right after that. But yeah, whether you need to work on that potential, that's going to depend, I think, on... I would keep all of this. This looks fine. And then wait until you get the Arcane Weapon. And then based on what potential comes out there, you can then think about, what am I going to reroll, right? Something rolls a lot more magic attack. You can keep that for mobbing, especially if you go into the higher areas, into Grandis, etc. Having a lot of magic attack there will help a lot with killing monsters. So it'll be good to have one mobbing and one bossing if you already have 2 legendary anyway.
I think using the Mother Nature Whisperer when I've been mobbing, but I don't think it makes much difference.
Yeah, no, you'd need at least 2 lines of magic attack on it, because now they're too similar, right? Now, like if your IED with the shield was like, I don't know, like 98% or something, then you would almost want to take the Mother Whisperer lines over the shield. But your ID is high, but it's not that crazy high. I guess if you have all those buffs and you use the whistle, it'll be crazy high.
Yeah, I think I tested it's like 98. And also that stat is missing the title that you get from 250, so it's a bit higher with that. I didn't put it on stats. Yeah,
so at that stage, you could definitely think about re-rolling. You get a decent amount of outs, but I would still wait for the weapon and see what the weapon does. Until then, I would say there's no pressure. But you can, if you want to, definitely re-roll the Nature Whisper on the side. Because like I said, like they're very similar. There won't be a huge difference between them. And at least have one of the secondaries be like 2-line magic attack, so that if you do switch it out for mobbing, that it'll make significant enough of a damage difference for it to even be worth switching out for.
Yeah. Should I try to reroll the emblem for like 3 lines? Is the damage line bad?
Damage line is worse than magic attack, but in your current situation where you are and all the levels of upgrade, if I look through your equips a little bit, this is pretty godly for what you have right now. Like, just re-rolling for 3-line magic attack is like off event is about a 40 bill investment. I think your money's way better. Like, I would never tell someone like, oh yeah, roll over 2-line magic attack and a line of damage on an emblem when you don't need IED, when you have like 12-star CRA pants. That makes no sense. Like, if you spend even half that money on the CRA pants, you can easily get them to like 17 or 19, most likely. And that's so much higher of a guaranteed upgrade. There's really only like which potential lines on your emblem would be better than this? It would be, the third line would have to be magic attack, or it'd have to be double prime magic attack, or it'd have to be like maybe like a 40% line IED in there so you can reroll your secondary or something. Those are very few outs for, so like the expected cost is like 30 bill plus, probably closer to 40. And that money is right now way more efficiently spent on other things.
Yeah, I think most of our ACOPs is waiting for the 5, 10, 15. I've been using I have the Clover tool, so I've been using some of the 15-star scores for this pieces, and that's why it's 16 everything.
From the Clover shop?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, I have the piggy bank, and I think I'm gonna buy it next month also. I think I get it this month through piggy bank, so that's 20 bill.
Yep, that'll be nice and useful. Yeah, we could look at the exact priorities and stuff of all the pieces, but yeah, you're mainly just waiting for a 5, 10, 15. There's not much to say about that. So you're focusing on piggy banks and the nodes, and then maybe Eternal Flames, and then after that you're just 15ing stuff. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I don't think I buy the flames. I buy the node stones and the experience node stone, and then what I have left is usually the piggy bank and the 3 scrolls.
Okay.
I don't think I cap daily enough to buy the flames. I don't know if I should buy them over the scroll.
Yeah, I think the Eternal Flames are probably worth more. Eternal Flames in general are hard to get, but the priority for the Eternal Flames would be, do you have something that you're going to transpose, and do you have a weapon? Or do you have Arcanes, right? That's when I think Eternal Flames are worth a lot. That's when they get their values worth. Otherwise, you might also just go for the Powerfuls, but then other than those 3 categories of items, Powerfuls and Eternals are almost essentially the same. So it's not really that much more valuable, and it's fine to just wait for ones that you get from bossing, or just flame later once all the star forcing and the cubing is done with, and just buy them from the general store, just to kind of finish off your items and put a nice little cherry on top. That's fine in those situations. So if you don't have, like, you're not working on Papmark, you're not working on Dominator to transpose, you're not working on Arcane Weapon or any other Arcanes, then I think it's fine to kind of leave Eternals for where they are now, if you're limited on those resources.
Yeah, I'm not transposing anytime soon or Arcane. Yeah. I think most of my flames are like 80, 70 score.
Yeah, depending on which type of item it is, and so we look at here. Here is like a kind of like the benchmark of where you want to aim for, right? So because you leveled very quickly, these might be a little bit on the high end. You haven't killed as many bosses for as many weeks and gotten as many free flames, so this is going to be a little bit on the high end. So you're probably just going to try to aim towards these numbers, but always in priority of what is the furthest away gets to be flamed first, right? You've got you got that Dominator pendant, yeah, because you got both the items. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm missing the superior also set. Like, that's going to be like the next boost also.
Yeah, and that extra that extra IED is definitely going to help a lot as well with freeing up your Demo shield for where it is now, right? It's going to get a lot more outs of possible upgrades once the superior set is in there, because your IED will be really high at that point.
Yeah, but the event buff is going out, so I think that's basically going to like...
How much do you have in that right now?
I think it's 30 IED and 30 boss, so I think it's basically
got the level 4.
0.
Yeah, that's a superior set just disappearing again. Yeah, that's true. Okay, and I guess the other thing we'd have to look at familiar-wise, which one you're using now.
I think bossing is the 2 IED and then the rare one. I don't know which one of the...
Yeah, do you keep revealing the rare ones you get to find the increased item drop rate?
Yeah, I've been trying. I think I have like 20 rares I've revealed and nothing except those 2.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not very common, so it makes sense.
I don't know which one of those is better actually, of the rare ones that I should use when party, like bossing.
With the epic ones, you mean here, the purple ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, restore HP.
Oh, so these are they restore the same amount.
Okay,
well,
so it's no different to nearby allies and party members.
So technically, I know for large amount, I would have to look at the details, but there are 2 lines that heal different amounts, but that are mentioned as exactly the same lines. So you'd have to like test which one is which if you really wanted to know. It's possible that one is like the weaker normal amount, that the other one is the stronger normal amount. Yeah, it's a really great system. Let's see your possible familiar lines. I believe restore, continue restore. So it's HP to party members 10% and to nearby allies 10%. But there's also, oh yeah, these are the personal ones. Oh yeah, no, so these are both, yeah, these are both 10%. So technically, if you're in a boss fight and the party members are further away, then the nearby allies one won't always work. But if you're in a party, then it'll always the party members will always work. So technically, that one's a little bit more reliable. But if you're doing will or something, you might equip both of those and one IED instead, right? Just to kind of see if you can double dip, because they all stack with each other. The healing ones. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right, because if you see so if you see buffs from familiars show up on the top right, like as an actual buff, then those don't stack with each other in numbers. But if they just apply like that, like either all the time or intermittently, then they infinitely stack with each other. So you could have like 3 familiars, both with double lines of healing or something. You just have like 6 healings going out just from yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be if you're a true support, right? So that in that sense, it's nice to have a lot of IED, so you don't need to rely on your familiars for IED. So you can go full healing familiars instead, and you can help keep your party alive like that as well as a true support would. So it's definitely not bad to have. But yeah, hopefully you can get the increased drop rate rare. That would be nice. And you're making epics to get the increased drop rate by a large amount, right? That was what you were mentioning, probably, that you were trying to chase that one. Yeah.
I think, I don't know if there's a post damage rare, but like basically it's drop rate that I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, it's fine to make rares, but definitely to make epics, but definitely keep revealing the rares, because there's still increased item drop rate that gives you 50%, and the small amount only gives you 30%, so that's still extra 20% you could gain. That would just give you more familiars, more cards, so you can get to the epic a little bit faster, and then hopefully get the 100% there, and then just to speed up the whole process a little bit.
Is there a better IED, like the middle point between epic and common?
No. Well, the common and the rare ones is both 15% lines. That's it. Only epic and higher can get 30% starting at epic. Yeah, 20 boss or 30 IED at epic, and then 35 and 40 for both at unique. But you can find that here as well, right? So that's in familiars, and then on the bottom with the possible lines. You know, I think it is. Is it ignore? Attacks ignore. Yeah. So 35 and 40, and oh yeah, 30. I guess technically exists in unique as well. And then boss damage 30, 35, and 40, and then if you go up here as well, 20 and 30. Yeah. In epic, and the IED, where is that? Is it attacks ignore? It's always here, yeah, 20 and 30, yeah, on epic.
On regular server I had like unique familiars also. That was also nice.
Yeah, yeah, it can be tricky to start over like that. You have to lower your kind of your standards and your level of comfort quite a bit, but you know, we hope I have to just trust that for the long term it was the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, it's the right thing to do when you do the weekly bosses, you can buy like 30 cubes. That's worth it. For me, at least.
Yeah, you can finally see that progress.
Yeah, it was like immediately get like a legendary drop rate or something.
Yeah, because in non-reboot, I mean, you can kind of like buy cube service from reward points, right? That's a thing you can do, but you get not nearly as much money from the crystals, so yeah, I ditched non-reboot because of the. I think it's really nice to have the market and to be able to like buy and sell items, but it's also really horrible when your net worth and all of your items' worth is just dependent on what is going in the market right there at that point, right? Something you could work really hard on could just be useless. And then
I think I've probably stayed at like regular server if I've been on Pera or like something, but the Luna markets and like the server is so dead that like it's so slow.
If nobody, if you're just selling something that you know has a certain value, but just nobody wants it, then technically that means that the value is lower. But yeah, you're gonna wait forever to sell it. Yeah, you're kind of cucked basically, right, at that point.
Yeah, I still do like weekly bosses on Luna, like Lotus, Lotus and Damien, just for the Maple points that I transfer from me. So it's like 3-4k like week Maple points. I like buy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can do some extra value. Yeah, that's nice. For so use it on Maple Tour or?
Like I get like the 200 mil like from the crystals, and then I like go to the Mesomarket and buy like 2k Maple points.
Because in in Reboot you can use the Maple Tour, right?
Have
you done that?
Like yeah, I do that. But you mean Maple points for like the cash shop?
Yeah, so for Maple Tour, you can do extra runs where it's like for every 300 Maple points, you could do an extra run of Maple Tour every day.
Yeah, those, and also Monster Park.
Yep, and Monster Park. Yep. Yeah, that's with Mesos as well, so that's nice. And then you do Ursus, right, for money as well?
Not really.
Not really? Yeah, those are actually worth it. If you do...
I haven't checked the times when it's like...
Oh yeah, double?
Maybe I should start.
Yeah, we run every day with the stream. Those are the times when it's double. You get about 100 mil per day from that. In Reboot, so that's quite good income. It's like 700 mil a week, so that's like an extra low-level boss meal, right? That's maybe like double what your Night Lord is making.
Yeah.
It adds up over time a lot, so yeah, that's worth, I would say. But yeah, so that's a reference back to here, right? So that's like the daily stuff. So where I think this might be good for you to look at just to have it in your head, because this is this might be pretty different for Reboot versus non-Reboot because of level difference penalties as well. Are you familiar with that difference?
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly, yeah. So basically you get way more punished for being lower level than the monster that you're attacking, which means you have to be more on the level of the boss, right, to be able to confirm your damage. And also when it comes to mobbing, we just don't... In non-reboot leveling guides and stuff, you would just go kill monsters way above your level to get decent amount of EXP. But for us, the monsters have more health, but also give more EXP around your level. And also they, you just can't really go to monsters more than 5 levels above you. It just doesn't work out. You just kill them way too slowly. So you tend to stick to monsters closer to your level for all of those reasons. And then for bosses, people have requirements of certain bosses, especially once you go to Will and beyond. Because if you're just lower level, the penalty is very harsh. And then when you're at the monster level or above, you also don't get as much bonus final damage in Reboot versus non-Reboot. A lot of those things can be found under Maple Stats. That's like a link to kind of like all the nerd numbers. So the one I'm talking about here is not hunting related, but is damage level advantage multiplier is this. So in non-Reboot, if you're 5 levels or higher than the monster, you get 20% final damage. And you get, if you're at the level, you already get 10% final damage. And you see, like, you only get like a small penalty here, like 3 levels below, 4 levels below. But if you're like 10 levels below, you're getting 25% final damage decrease, right? Which is significant. But if you check in Reboot instead, it's way more, way more broken here. So like 10 levels above, you get 20%. Versus 5 levels here, right? So you have to be 5 extra levels. But if you're thinking about like Black Mage and stuff, that's a lot of extra training to get that same amount of reward. And then when you're at the monster level, instead of being 10% or 5%, like you get 0. That's neutral. And then if you go like 5 levels below, then you're already 25%. 10 levels below is 50%. So yeah, you just can't really cheat that way. Once you get past a certain point, you have to grind out the levels. And that also means that you get a lot more value from those levels, right? Percentage-wise, your damage will go up a lot. But it also means that if you're not willing to grind those levels and put that time in, you're just not really going to be hitting your targets much at all. Like Lotus and Damien are very easy. They're like level 190 or something, so that's not a big deal. But once you get to Will and you get to Tenebris and Black Mage, really all of that is just gated by, are you high enough level? So that's, I would say,
for like, for grinding, I probably like 260 is probably where I'm aiming, like long term. Like to see like the next sacred symbol. Is it 260?
Yep, 260, 265, and then 270. And then 275 is coming out at the end of this month.
Yeah, that's probably a bit early for me.
A little bit early, yeah. Yeah, when in this summer event, they're also increasing the amount of symbols that you get from your dailies, right? So the first area is going to give 10 instead of 5 a day, and then Hotel Arcus is going to give 10 instead of 5 as well. So once you get to those areas, you'll have an easier time starting up those symbols and getting them to a decent level. Because, yeah, if you think Arcane symbols are slow, then Sacred symbols are going to be a nice surprise, because those are even way slower and more expensive, but... yeah, and it takes longer for them to get going as well, but then once they do get going, I mean, it's still a lot of stat that you're getting on top of what you already have, so it makes sense that it's not as quick. But yeah, it can be a bit demotivating at the current rate, so it's good that it's going up for newer players hitting those areas. Yeah, I'm just checking through some of the screenshots that you have. Did you have any questions on some of these things here on the bottom, like the link skills, the...
I think for link skills, what's the Adele's link skill? Should I get it? Is it important? I think it's like party buff.
Sorry, what was the first thing you said?
Adele.
Adele, yeah.
The Adele. Is it like important for bossing party?
I would say so, yeah. It's it basically goes up to 12% total damage if you have at least 3 other people in your party, so 3 or more. And that means that you will get, yeah, it'll be a 12. So it's the equivalent of like a fully stacked mobility one, like the Ilium, or what else is 12% the same as? There's some other 12s, right? But it would be better than Elementalism. Yeah, so if you're soloing, it's only 6%. And then it goes up 2% per other party member up to a max of 12, basically, when you're bossing. Yeah. And then when you're mobbing, it's not as good because it's mostly boss damage. So mobbing, it's bad. Yeah, it's low priority.
I also think like the arc link skill is also like good one, like best in slots.
Yes, probably yeah. One of the best ones. Yeah, in terms of raw damage in both mobbing and bossing, it goes up to 16% at the level 3 link. Yeah. So for that, I have that command. I have links command, where I basically I've just ranked all of them. So this has all of the classes, all of their legion, and their link skill. So the white boxes here are the link skill, and the green boxes are the legion buff. And I basically ordered the stats in importance that I think makes sense for leveling your account. So if you look at which characters you probably have most of these if you start from the top. But so you can use this as kind of a suggestion if you don't know what character to burn or what character to work on next. You can just look at the list and see what is the first character that you're missing. And you can also use this kind of as a link of like, okay, I'm going to be mobbing. What do? You just start from the left, and then you pick everything you need, and then you just move your way to the right, basically, until you're filled up on slots. Same thing for bossing, right? You'll probably be skipping some of those earlier ones, especially like EXP and Meso-Obtain and stuff like that. And then you very quickly get to the blue part, which is the bossing part. And then you're probably filled out once you get here, and then maybe you add 1 or 2 more of these, but you're probably done by this point. So you can use it as a general priority list for all of those things.
Yeah. I think the only reason why I haven't made an arc is because I remember you couldn't leave the tutorial pre-30, and that's so annoying.
Yeah, you have to. Well, you can not completely do the whole thing, but it's advised to because you get a skill at the end, the contact caravan skill.
I think
if you finish it all.
Adela is something similar that you have to do like story to get like some buff.
Yeah, Adele is is not as long, but there is a skill. Yeah, a beginner skill that you level up, which I think, if I remember correctly, gives you critical damage and attack percent. So. It is, yeah, on one of them levels up 1% per like level that you gain on the skill, and then the last, which I think is a critical damage, or the other one, and then once you completely fill the storyline, the other one also goes up to 10%. So there's a lot of reward for doing that. Which, you know, in the long term, if you're going to be using the character as a boss mule or something, then it's worth it. But if it's just for levels, for Legion levels, and you're just making a 140, you just want to get out of that area as soon as possible, and you know, just grind some levels. I get that part. By the way, do you have a 0?
Like made, but not leveled.
Okay, maybe not. Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, just wanted to make sure because it's only temporarily available, right? So you want to make sure you have one on your.
I usually do that because it's like XP EXP.
Yeah.
But I haven't done like the.
Yeah, the EXP block is very nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those classes. Once you finish I think it's once you finish chapter 2 that you can leave, right? Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. They just leave and then grind and. You can come back around like level 180 or something. You can come back and then finish the storyline. You can get to level 200 pretty easily like that. And then at level 200 is really nice. It's a big Legion EXP block, right? So you can always see here. Go to like EXP, boom. So we find the 0 here, and you see 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's level. The 0 levels are different. So you see for 0, it's level 130, 160, 180, 200, 250. So you can see like what level makes sense for that character. Yeah, I think this is a useful tool to just have it all in one place. So you can always see like what character do I want to work on, what gives me the best gains to the next jump, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for most link skills, I usually like level them 100 and then stop a bit for a day and then do the level 100 to 140 in one go, because I noticed that like that's fast. I don't do the Sakum tech because the takes long. I usually it's like 45 minutes to like get to 140 with the star format and with some funding.
Yeah, I like the way that you don't have to fund, and you can. The experience per time I think is very high on Zakum, but it's slow per character, but it's fast overall for your account in terms of Legion growth.
Yeah, Zakum, like when I first started Reboot, then I had like 6-7 characters at 120, and I did Zakum a few times a day.
Yeah, that's
but
fast.
Now it's like 140 is like 45 minutes with 2 XP potion and like monster buckets.
Well, yeah, now your Legion and your links have grown, so now it might be easier to grind it out. I mean, you still do one Zakum, and then you just finish off with the trading, and
like
then
107 level or 105 level, and then finish off with the Starforce map.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to do, right? Like, it's just out there as an option, and if you want to do something else, or you want to do it partially and then do something else, whichever is more fun for you, that's fine.
Yeah, I think I left like Mercedes when I leveled that link skill to 140. I think I left it at 120 because it was annoying. that I think Sakum did that to 140. I think.
Yeah, you can use it as a path of least resistance when it's a character you don't like, and it'll be the main thing I guess I want to leave you with for stuff like Legion is it's good if you've played the characters already a little bit and you feel like which ones you like and which ones you don't like at all. Because it's a good idea to have those characters kind of classified as, okay, this character needs like a mega burn, or this character needs a terra burn, or this character needs like extreme growth potions to gain level, and this other character, I'm okay with throwing some, you know, Master Craftsman cubes on this once I don't really need them on my main character anymore, and I get them from bossing, so I can fund it up a little bit and then train it to, you know, 200 or maybe even 210 if it has like a really good double S Legion block, or it has a really good level 3 link skill. As long as all your,
like,
you know.
I somewhat know what like classes I like based on Luna.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so probably I'll be like Kanna Mechanic, maybe Luminous. I think I leave it at 200 before the picture, like after the picture.
Yeah, so
basically I know most of the classes, like 200, like the hyper skills and everything.
So eventually you do want to get that 8k Legion, because you've already got some
yeah, 8k Legion is eventually.
Yeah. And now with 42 characters, that's going to be more doable,
like,
right?
I think I have nine characters left to 140, so that's like a pretty big boost, like 6k Legion.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, you still have... yeah, because you don't have a whole bunch of level 60s in here. There's only like one level 70, but all the other ones are already 120 plus, yeah. Didn't notice you still have 9 characters available. That's quite nice. Yeah, this should be like 6.5 with that easily, and then going from there to 8 should be more than manageable. You're waiting to kind of redo the grid once you get to 6, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that's like my bossing one. But I don't know if I should, for bossing, should I maybe IED to boss damage? Which one is first? If I have like high IED now.
Yeah, that's probably going to be more efficient for you right now, yeah.
Because I don't know how much slow do you want IED, like off burst. Like if I have the hyper skill, like that's gives me like 2%, like 96. Like 98. Like if I move everything from IED to boss damage with the hyper skill, I would still have like 96 probably. Like is that worth it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably worth it. You do have a decent amount of boss damage as well, but I would say that's most likely worth it. The event buff right now is kind of facilitating that, right? If the event buff disappears before you get Superior Gollux, then you can move the ID back. But if that's around the same time, then you can stay in the boss damage and basically until you get to 8k, and then you fill out the ID anyway.
Yeah, I think. Which one should I get first? Is the ring on the pendants? Or does it matter?
Which piece first?
Gollux.
Yeah, I usually just get whatever gives you the biggest damage increase, but most of the time the superior items are kind of bad. Like, they have really bad base stats, right? They're not that good. The only reason they're good is because they're set bonus once you have the whole thing. But you're missing both of the pieces, right? The ring and the pendant.
Yeah. I think probably ring, because I have one ring that is not like damage at all. So I have like 3 stat lines, and then one is, I think, Meso event ring.
What's your but you're using 1 damage pendant, and then is the Mechanator your second pendant right now?
It's the fake Dominator and the Dominator. Yeah, fake Dominator and Mechanators are like my damage. I should probably roll the real Dominator like at damage.
Well, I think you're in a good position as well if you get the superior pendant, that you can start working on your Dominator pendant towards transposing it instead. And just work on the flame for now, and then if you get a really nice flame, transpose it into sweet water. That'll be a big damage increase to use that as your second pendant rather than the fake Dominator.
Yeah.
And then by that time you can reroll the you can get like a greed pendant or something for your second pendant, right?
Yeah. I think I'm missing few drop rate items also.
Yeah, we can look at that. We can look at that right now.
I think I have like 5. Yeah, and 5 Meso.
Let's see. Right now. 4. Which extra one
was?
One
Meso is, I think it's face or something.
The Ustica ring, yeah. So that's the one you're using now as your fourth.
Yeah,
ring.
damage. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that was damage ring instead, that would be a decent increase compared to now. I see. Yeah, damage-wise, that would probably be the play to buy the ring first, yeah, instead of the
I also
pendant.
don't have the gun ring dropped yet, so that could also be like the fourth one.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, if you get the Kana ring, then you can work on that immediately, and then you can go buy the pendant. If you don't get the pendant, I would probably still sorry, if you don't get the ring, then the ring would be the biggest upgrade. But it's more likely that you eventually get a Kana treasure ring before you buy both pieces, right? So I'd probably buy the pendant and then just hope for a Kana treasure ring for the 4th slot first, and then if you get a superior eventually, they'll just replace, I don't know, probably the flame ring. Because the Awake ring has better lines, and then the Meister ring, you know, Star Force wise, could go further, provided that you get more primals later. And then the Flame ring will be the first ring that will be, quote unquote, like pushed back down into drop rate. Even if you have already enough drop rate, it's okay to go over 4 or 5 drop rate, right? You can go all the way up to 10 drop rate for stacking wise, for stacking purposes, which is not a bad idea now because, you know, you want to get a lot of nodes. Because we don't kill as many monsters, you want to get more primals, you want to get more dominator pendants, more Kana treasure rings for the future, more superior drops, you know, all of that. So going into more drop rate once those pieces kind of lose their current function because they're getting pushed out by gear that can become stronger. That's a totally fine thing to, you know, to have them up to legendary. And they, you know, they spent their time, they provided their value, and now they can continue providing their value in a different function.
I think for the face, the Sweetwater monocle, is that better than the Sakum one?
So you're talking about these two, right?
No, the Sakum accessory, yeah. Like if I get it to legendary versus like 17 Sweetwater.
So the main thing is going to be once you move fully into superior and like, you know, you have an event ring superior, the amount of boss accessory pieces is going to go down quite a bit. So their set bonus is going to disappear. Their flame advantage is going to start getting lost because even though the other, you know, the Sweetwater stuff doesn't have as high flames, you can get above 15 stars and, you know, 17 pretty easily. And then that extra attack and the higher tier potential there is going to make that better, because the set bonus isn't there anymore to really compensate for the lower level item. And then these pieces might just become drop or mezzo instead if they're already unique or already legendary, and that's fine too. The thing with the bean mark though, compared to the monocle, is that the bean mark can also go up to 17 and can also go up to 19. So if you can get backups there so that you can, or you know, you want to safeguard it, that's fine, but I would still go for the tattoo over the power crystal though, because there's nothing else really in that slot until the Twilight mark. And if you're only now starting with the normal Lucid and Will, it'll be a while until you probably see a Twilight mark. And especially if you're in like a 6-man party, you have to share drops and everything, it might take a long time, right? So I would say Dinero-wise, you can still, you can definitely get value for building up your boat and going towards making enough Dinero so you can transpose the Dominator pendant, buy the pendant, maybe backups for the pendant and the tattoo. So that's like enough of a cluster of cost, I would say, of Dineros to work on Commercy, and then probably end up safeguarding the Black Beam mark up to 17, and if you get backups, maybe even try to go to 19, you know, after CRA and after probably the Shield, right, because those are higher in backups, so those would be higher priority for Star Forcing. But I probably wouldn't go all 3. The only reason you would also go into Monocle probably is if you end up finding a Pat mark, right, and then you get a good flame and then you want to transpose that. But until that point, I would focus on just the tattoo and the pendant parts.
I think, is there a better medal? Like, what's the medal that you usually use?
The medal.
I know the Empress one. Oh, it's not the Empress one. I have something that's.
It's like 5 IED, right?
Yeah.
Usually people use the Monster Parker ones because that's a 7 all stat, 7 weapon magic attack.
Yeah, but that's far away from me.
10 IED, yeah.
Really lazy on Monster Park.
Okay. Well, I think Monster Park in general is a good thing to do though because of the Monster Park potions.
Yeah, I usually do it, but I don't. It's like on different characters, so it's not on one.
I see. Okay.
It's usually not on all 7. I don't usually bother. I don't have the energy motivation. If
there's still what I did for a long time was just do the Knight Stronghold one. That's very fast. It's usually, if you know the rotation and everything, it's less than a minute per run. So you can do the whole thing in like 7 minutes. You know, like cat form or bird form, just like fly through the whole thing. That's something you can try. But the main thing is that if you're trying to min-max on a medal, that's probably less worth than if you just get like one okay flame increase on like your CRA or something. I wouldn't worry about it at this point. That's why it's okay that it's such a long process, because it is not that huge of an increase anyway. And you know, the situation you're in, you don't really need the IED anyway from the medal. So by the time the IED from the medal would really be a substantial upgrade and worthy of your time, it's going to be like months in the future anyway. So I think just slowly working towards it, as long as you're aware of that you're slowly working towards the 7-day Monster Parker medal, then that's good enough. I wouldn't worry about a medal right now. Yeah, what's the best thing? There might be some event medals, you know, from maybe from the upcoming Savior event that's like 7 all or something like that, you know. You could use that temporarily.
Yeah. Is the Holy Cup, should I flame it? I think there's like black flames left in the event shop, like for the higher tier.
I think for Holy Cups, I don't think you ever want to black flame, because it's very easy to get a secondary Holy Cup on the side, and then just use leftover red flames on that until you roll something better, and then just switch them out. I would keep black flames for things like once you have really high flames on stuff and you just want to min-max on them. So if you have like if you have black flames right now available, so in general you want to use flames on, or you want to use any items like a cube or Star Force or flame on where you get the most value, expected value for your mesos that you spend, right? That makes sense?
Yeah.
So if you use the flame calculator here, and you take your items here, you can save them on the bottom, and then based on the current flame score, you can compare that to like the numbers that we want to get here in the progression grid, right? Roughly these numbers. And then you can see how far all of the items are and who will get the most value out of using flames on them. So we can kind of eyeball it now, because we're taking all staff for 9, magic attack for 3, so that's 15, 45, that's 60, so that's a 76 for int. But it's level 140. So if there's any of your CRA that's around 76 or lower, then CRA would be a higher priority because it's a higher level item at 150 rather than the cup at 140. So the expected increase on the CRA, for example, would be higher. Does that logic make sense?
Yeah.
So like
I think I bought the Eternal Flames for something, but I didn't get anything.
Yeah, so the hat is like 20 and then 45, 65, 69. Nice. So so the hat is lower. So the hat, so eventually you want to reflame the cup, right? Eventually you want to get towards like that 85 mark, 85 to 90 maybe. But the CRA is going to be always a higher priority if it has the same flame or lower than the cup, because the expected value is just going to be higher there because it's a higher tier. Not a higher tier, a higher rank. Are you familiar with flames and with the tiers and with the level ranges?
Is it like the red flames can tier 5 and then Eternals and black are tier 6 and 7?
Yeah, that's why
something like that.
That's why I corrected myself on saying tier, because that can be a bit confusing. But even so, if you roll a tier 5 on a cup and you roll a tier 5 on a CRA, the number of stat on the CRA will be higher than on the cup. But that's because it's a higher level. So even if the flame is the same quality, it'll result in more stats. So that's why you want to flame the higher level items before the lower level items. Because if you hit like tier 5, tier 5, tier 5, tier 4 or something on a cup with the exact same types of stats, if you hit the same flame on a CRA, you'll get more stats out of it. Or if you hit the same flame on Absolab, you'll hit even more stats out of it. But that just has to do with the underlying intervals. Or if you hit that on an Arcane, it'll be even more stats out of it. That's why if you calculate like the cost for something, like let's say that you want to hit on an armor, why would I go up way? Go away. Let's say you want to hit, let's just say 100, whatever, on a 140. Oh, actually, never mind. Armor. Oh, I guess cup and CRA are the same. Never mind. But Yeah, so it's like 1 to 1.5 bill. But if I say I want to hit that on an Arcane, the exact same score, it'll just be way cheaper because the same quality gives you more numbers, right? You see, it's only like a quarter or like a fifth of the cost. Or if I wanted to hit it on Abso Lab, it'll be like a little bit in between. See? Without changing the value or the flame score at all. That's why you prioritize the higher level items and the items with flame advantage on the flames. But yeah, since you don't have Arcanes yet, with the cup and the CRA, so that would be kind of like the same bunch. So if you're unfamiliar with which one to do first, calculate their flame scores, put the flame scores here, and then you can put them side to side and you can see which one should be the first one to flame. Yeah, because other than that, you only have your Abso, and you're not going to hold on to that for super long. We get 45 and 6, 25, 5 and 5, 25, 4 and 6. It's going to get a little bit all of those marks. They're probably all around like 70 something, right? 70, 80, oh, it's almost 90. Almost 90, 6, 9, 5. Yeah, it's a 99. 45, 60, 70, 85. And these are 85 to 100. Yeah, so these are probably fine. So it'd be either the cup or the CRA. Yeah, probably the CRA a little bit before, but they're very close. Yeah, so not a bad idea to think about the cup. But just remember, always for the cup, there is the possibility second cup on a side, and then just garbage flaming. And then if you don't get anything, it's fine. If you do get something, then you just switch them out.
Should I try to get crit damage on the gloves?
That is something that you can do. It should be pretty cheap to just get one line.
Is one line better than like 2 line of stat?
Yeah, in most cases, it's even better than 3 line stat. In almost all cases. So essentially, a line of crit damage on your gloves, at the lowest, it's roughly equivalent to about 20% stat. At the highest, it's about equivalent to about 40% stat. And what it depends on is how much your critical damage is, right? If you have already more critical damage, since it's additive, adding 8% more, if you already have like 200%, won't do as much for you, versus if you only have like 80% or something, will do a lot for you. So if you look at your stat window, you have 93.5 now. That's like fully buffed. Yeah, so yours will be like equivalent. Will be on the upper end of that, so it'll probably be like somewhere between like 30 and 35%. So it'll be like roughly equivalent of like 3 line stat. So the only thing you're going to be giving up for that is the line of decent sharp eyes right now. But you don't have to give up on it until you hit it, right? Because well, so you can roll with red cubes if you want, or with black cubes. But you typically roll with black cubes if you are trying to aim for 2 lines of critical damage, right? Then it makes more sense to black cube. And I wouldn't really advise to do that on an Abso. I would save that to do it on Arcane only.
Yeah, so I think I had a few times when I rolled, I had crit damage, but I think I rerolled that.
Yeah, it makes your range go down, your visual range go down, so that makes it seem bad, but your overall damage will go up by quite a bit. And I think at this point you have a decent amount of slots in your V matrix. Like you could very easily get rid of like decent advanced blessing, right? Yeah. And get decent sharp eyes in there instead. So yeah, I don't think you're in trouble for that at all. Yeah, that's probably good. That's a good upgrade to make for sure. Let's see, we talked about the mezzo and the drop stuff. Are you familiar? Do you feel comfortable with that? With like the accessories, the Sweetwater stuff, and where to go with all the accessories?
I think so, yeah. I think from the regular server and from this I should be like just getting like ups to legendary and drop that on Mesa. I think for now I don't know about the real dominator. Should I reroll that completely and get like a Chaos Horn then from drop rate?
Yeah, I think you eventually want to work. You want to work towards this one transposing, but until you get a really good flame and you have all the dineros to do it. So I would propose like the long-term Commercy setup, so that you go for leveling up the boat first. I don't know how much you've already done commercies, but so that might take a while.
Not at all.
So that'll take a while, because you need to like build up and level up your boat and get to the dreadnought, right? So to have more dinero, so you can buy more backups. So since you're working on that process, so that's under !commercy. While you're working on that, it's fine to just keep this one as your drop rate pendant and just slowly work on the flame as it goes. And I'll probably have... You only have one pendant right now that does drop or mezzo? Yeah. If you're going to be buying a second one, I would just go for the greed pendant. That way you don't get any like fake damage out of it, like with the horntail pendant. And you have that added drop rate for equips on it as well. So I think the greed pendant is just the way to go here. Which means you got to do monster park. See, it's always connected.
It's a big circle.
It's one big circle, yeah. It keeps you going, keeps sucking you in. Oh yeah, if you're keeping the black beam mark, by the way, then this is also something that you, flaming wise, is on a pretty high priority, right? Yeah. Just to make sure that we mention that. Yeah. Other than that, it's there's a. That wasn't. Wait, was that yesterday? Oh, that was yesterday. The 1+1 event up to 12. Well, yeah, it's only up to 12. Never mind. Oh, I forgot to Star Force all of my arcanes. Whoops. Well, I was busy. Big whoop. Yeah. So next event, if there's a 30% off, you can safeguard up to 15, and then make sure everything's at 15. Or if there's a 5, 10, 15, you basically start sending everything to 17, right? That's what you want to save most of your money for now. Your potentials are all good, like WSC is good. Arguably your CRA is already better than what I would advise you to get to. The only the only potential definitely here to work on would be the glove, just to get that critical damage. But other than that, all your potentials are good. So it's like maybe some drop and mezzo stuff you want to mess around with. And the glove. And then yeah, flame wise, we kind of have the priority, right? So like B mark, and then probably some of the CRA stuff, and then the cup, just to see that it all gets to around the same level. The black B mark will be a little bit lower because it's 135. It's not even mentioned here, but so it'll be on the lower end of a little bit below this. So I imagine that you're probably looking for something like 70 plus or something like that. 70, 75 would probably be decently affordable. So it'd be something like, I don't know, like 40 and 4 or something like that, right? Something like, yeah, 24 to 30 flame increase. Oh, no, to like 30, yeah, 30 to 35, something like that. Yeah, is there any piece of equipment that we skipped at that point?
I don't think so.
I think so. Yeah, badge, you've got no other options. Heart, nothing to do there. Arcane pieces, you just, you know, switch them in order of damage increase. So for glove, you'll probably aim for the double crit damage. Maybe not immediately, because it's still quite expensive. But yeah,
do I switch them one by one? Or do I wait until I have 2 or 3 pieces?
Yeah, typically you can switch them one by one, but definitely once you have 2, definitely. But if you are like, okay, I have the arcane gloves, and I roll, let's say you roll like critical damage and decent sharp eyes, for example, or critical damage and some intellect on it, or critical damage and critical damage on it, then it'll be already an upgrade, right? So you just go a little bit harder on the potential, also get it to 17. Your flame will most likely be higher as well, right? Because of the better outcomes, and you'll be pushing with Eternals and that kind of stuff. So the glove will be an upgrade pretty easily, 17 to 17. Like for me, it was a little bit harder on like my marksman, for example, because my Abso stuff was already 20. So then it's like, ooh, when do I switch? So I had to go to 19 arcane first before I wanted to switch. And even now, in my 19 arcane glove I have is not, like damage-wise, not really an upgrade. I need like a second piece for it to be an upgrade. But that's like more of a less standard situation, because it's like old character with, you know, an old roll and everything. So that doesn't really count.
Then I'm also thinking of... I rerolled the Totem Flames like just before the session. And I think I got 6 soul set and 3 attack. Magic attack, I'm thinking. I have like, I think 18 flames left. That's like old one. I rewrote them just before.
So you have three magic attacks, 6 all stat?
6 all stat, yeah.
We say you have 18...
18 flames left. Yeah. Or 15, I don't remember.
Yeah, you have... So you have the first 2 boxes?
I think I only have the 1 box, and it has 6 uses left. I don't know how it goes. Actually.
Oh, the 3 flame one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't get the one that has 2 flames in it?
No, I only did like the challenge mode to 25, and then I stopped.
Okay.
I don't know. Should I check the shop? Is there
the one with the stakes is very doable. All you really need to do is just survive one time, right, all the way up to the end of the challenge mode, and then you don't get any more invasions. So then you can basically break off your whole camp, just like leave your cooking stations and everything, and then you just go around the map, you know, just stay alive and just and get all the things to make steaks. There's resources out there to say exactly how much what you need to make, and you just make an E25 steaks and then make 1 deluxe steak, and that's it. It is very, very doable. Even if it takes you 10 or 15 like in invasion days, I would say that one is worth to do. If you have a 3 and a 6, so that's like 6 is 9, it's 54, and 3 is 9, so 54 and 9 is like 63. I feel really uncomfortable saying like how high you need to go. I'm pretty sure mathematically you can go higher once you get the other box. If you're sticking to just this one box,
I'm probably staying with this.
Yeah, it depends on how risk averse you are, honestly, but it's not really a bad idea either way, because it's like your only totem, right?
Yeah.
So as much yeah, really the question is like, would you be okay with possibly not getting as high as this again? You know, are you okay with incurring that risk, as small as it is? Because it's like when you can boom something at like 0.7% chance. Like, are you okay with this booming? Possibly. If you're not, then you just always should safeguard. If you are okay with it being a possibility, then don't safeguard, right? So the same thing here. Like, are you okay with possibly just never getting back to where you are now? If that answer is like a resounding no, I would just always regret that. Then just stand, basically. So the numbers, for people who got like all 3 of the boxes, the number is like around a 92 to 93 flame score is like really an acceptable stand, basically. But that's with 10 flames a week, right? So if you're only doing the one for 3, then you get less than a third of that. So you'd have to kind of extrapolate. There's no equivalent either. So those flames go from tier 3 to 7. So at the low end, they're a powerful flame, but at the high end, they're an eternal flame. So the spread is a lot more wide as well. Yeah, if you have like 15 more. For myself, I already know I'm going to get fucked. So I feel uncomfortable saying that you should re-roll over this and then possibly get a lower as well. I would just feel bad.
I watched you re-roll your flames.
Yeah, it was not good. Was there even anything over like... I think what I got now was like the highest one I rolled, which was like, what, 33? Yeah. Amazing. So amazing, yeah. Since you're already inclined to stand, I would just say just stand as well. Like,
yeah, probably staying.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about it. Unless you feel okay getting the other box, because that increases by 20, right? So then you're doubling your flames left. Then I think you have a really good shot of at least hitting the same or higher, or something like very close. Maybe like 1 or 2 flame score lower, which wouldn't really be a tangible difference. Maybe hit something like, you know, like a 30 and 4 or something like that, which is not an insane increase, but it is solidly more. So, yeah, it's up to you ultimately if you feel like going for the other box. If you feel like you've already got so much to do and so much to work on and you just don't really want to do the content, then I would say it's okay. Just stand and move on.
I think that's more for the groups. I know where to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're working on the Galaxy. You soon have the other piece. That's good. 1 extra primal, that's nice. Hopefully you can get a few more, right? If you get that drop rate up, hopefully you can get a few more. And if you need to scale up on, if you're unlucky on the kind of treasure rings and you need to get some rings, try to do, if you have time for it, normal arc on more characters, just to have more chances for primals. It could be a way for you to kind of increase your chances and scale up there. Yeah, other than that...
I also am probably buying the droplets from the event shop.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought basically everything. Most of the other stuff that is decent.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of I might buy the symbols from like the coins and then like the weekly bosses droplets I buy.
Yeah, don't forget the probably want to buy the honor EXP as well, because so your honor is very low.
I think I bought those.
Okay. Because you're now at the point where you kind of want to decide for yourself. Do you want to stay with this? Do you want to maybe roll just for something useful on the second or third line, and then hold that until you get to like 1.5, 2 mil honor, and then go full circulator re-rolling? Is it because I think do you scale very well off of your inner ability as a BT?
I think there was like some options basically. When I looked at the last Discord.
Yeah, what did they say? Was it did they say cooldown
skip? The first line is like cooldown skip, meso or boss. Like basically all is good.
Yeah. And then does buff duration get mentioned as well?
I don't think so, but like I know that this could be good, like for the hack mobbing, I think. But I think the second line was crit rate, meso or boss or something like that.
Okay.
Because I know like when I'm in the hack mode, I know like if I take the phantom link off, I'm 20% off from crit rates.
Okay.
So that's why I think the second line could be crit rate also.
Yeah, because of the mode, right? In the past, we would almost always go bear mode, and then you have an insane amount of crits, so it would just never really come up.
Over. But when in the hack mode, I think it's 80.
It's a hack mode thing, yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Basically, it's meso, boss, and then cooldown skip.
Yeah, I would say meso is good, definitely starting out if you're getting out the levels, and then, but if you're going purely for training and getting levels, the meso loses its shine really quickly once you start training in Grandis, right? It's hard to loot. You just don't kill as many monsters. It's a really huge drop. Meso Obtain is really good, I think, on your first character that's making money for your account, but you want to pivot towards bossing mules and getting standard income. Just doing versus every day, Maple Tour as much as you feel comfortable with, and then bossing mules, and then selling the crystals, and then training only comes in like in fourth place there in your income. It'll surpass the other two, but in priority it's lower, and it will probably stay lower in money made purely from the meso part compared to your bossing mules if you keep scaling that. So as a result, especially on next characters, meso obtain is not going to be as valuable. You'll more be looking at that drop rate to try to get those dominators, trying to get those kind of treasure rings right as early as possible, so you can progress equip wise and keep up with your levels. But for your first character, it'd be pretty valuable. But the question for you is basically like, do you lock in your boss damage and try to get some kind of, it'd probably be fine to get like 10% drop or 10% meso obtain, which is pretty easy to get on Epic. If there's a 50% off just on the second or third line, just so you have something from those lines. And then past that, I would just purely just save honor. And then if there's a really important... so possibly crit or maybe 10% boss, something like that. Really important. But then it might be your preference as well, right? If you're okay with just like the guaranteed damage for boss, or if you are okay with like the slightly more RNG but possibly higher value cooldown skip one, that's going to be more your personal preference at that point. Because then if you want to stick to the 20 boss, it's very expensive to lock your top line and then roll for your second and your third, especially if your second and your third are pivotal, very important stats, right? If you have a bunch of outs there that are okay, but they're all kind of similar. So like if you're a bishop, you need that 38% buff duration, right? It's just super important. So you have to roll that first with circulators, then lock that, and then go back and get your legendary line. But if, your top line, your legendary line is really the most important, whether it's 20 boss or 20% cooldown skip. And then everything else is kind of like, it's really secondary in importance. Then you can go about it that way, locking. It'll be more expensive on the honor, but it'll be cheaper on the meso part. So you'll have to have a little bit more honor before you roll it. But you can do it whenever there's an event. So you could lock into it early and then be done with it faster that way.
I think it's probably going to be whatever I hit first, and then I stick with that.
You stick with that, okay. Yeah, then you just wait until 50% off, right? There's another one coming pretty soon. within this event, I believe. So then you can just try again.
I think the cooldown skip is basically just for the cat skill. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few classes like that where you can go cooldown skip where if you hit even one, then it's a positive, and if you hit multiple, then it's huge. But then there's of course higher of a chance that you don't hit any, and then you would have been better off just having the 20% boss, because then at least you know you guaranteed to have more damage on the things that you do activate. So it makes sense. Some people like taking that kind of risk with the gameplay just in case it pays off. Get a nice inflated BA and all that stuff. Yeah, hyperstats looking good. Moving into bonus EXP when you need to. When you get the points. We talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about that. I don't know if there's anything left. Anything on your mind? Do you have any more questions available? Yeah, I don't know too much about the V matrix, like about the boost node part, but I'm assuming
I think my boost nodes are somewhat okay. Like the top 4 are going to be staying. In the sense I have the Hawk skill, Lil 4, and the Bear skill, 3 Bear skill that I need.
You were using your EXP nodes on the skill nodes, I think,
yeah,
right?
Skill nodes, yeah.
Yeah, so you get your Goddess Blessing still. And your, I guess your Holy Symbol, right, is also pretty nice for the drop rate and the EXP.
Yeah. I think the 2 other skill nodes, push nodes I have are extra, basically.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm not exactly sure about the setup, but I'm sure the Beast Tamer Discord has like very specific things on, like, if you want to train in this area, you want to use this mode, then you want these boost nodes. If you want to train in this other area, these boost nodes are better, probably, right?
Yeah, I think for the most part it's like you're going good with just the Hawk mode.
Hawk mode, yeah.
Because
it's good in mobbing and bossing, right? It's very versatile.
That's good for basically everything.
Yeah. Yeah, Hawk mode for the longest time was just absolute shit. And then they did that big revamp, and it's like, oh, it's all Hawk mode all day, every day. Maybe if it's not the best in any individual situation, across the board, it's easy to learn how to play, and then just really, really close to the best. So it makes more sense to just go full Hawk. And for a lot of people, it's just really fun. Just fly around.
Yeah. I think there's like a Discord that like a Beast Tamer training grid that has like kill rates. And I think every map has Hawk mode as the highest kill rate.
As the highest? Okay, yeah, that's pretty straightforward then.
Step to Limina, I think, yeah.
Smaller maps where you can... But then it's probably about the same numbers, right? If you can full map clear on different...
Yeah. I think the bigger the map, I think, is even better. I think it's gonna be always best on the Hawk mode.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting to see if we... Oh, I see you don't have Blink here, though. I don't know if you are gonna really need it because Beast Tamer, but the further you go, the more useful Blink becomes for just like the air floating and everything. And the magic attack it gives once it levels up, and the further the game goes on. So I would start holding those. But other than that, yeah, looks fine. I guess maybe the Beast Tamer, the Hyper Body you can get rid of, because...
Oh yeah, I don't know why I have it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe in like 2 years they redo the Hyper Body one and it becomes like best in slot. You know, it's possible. Who knows? They did the same to some other ones, right? Like Urda Shower was kind of and the Blink was kind of
Should I, like when I disassemble like all the useless shit, like should I then craft no shots or like basically straight to the proper boost nodes, skill nodes? Which one is better?
Since you have still a decent amount of nodes that you're working on, it's probably still best value now to make the node stones. But the more you start maxing out, the more you get the chance that if you hit those, you have to disassemble them again, and that lowers the value of the node stones. So while you still have a bunch that need levels, I think right now node stones are the best. There's probably going to be some kind of way that you can calculate this, and I could just give you the exact number. But I don't think or know of that tool existing. So I just have to go off of, like, you know, gut feeling here, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, node stones for now. And it's typically around the time where you get like your nodes, your boost nodes maxed, especially if you have 4 or more. Around that time is typically where you start just crafting specific skill nodes. However, with all of the access to experience nodes, your skill nodes are way higher now than even your boost nodes, so you're kind of going at it backwards. But since the chance of when opening a node stone is way higher of opening a boost node, and that's what you want the most right now, I would be inclined to say that's where you get the best value now. So you can make 1 right now with your 35 shards. You're like, boom, special node. Boosts, skills. Yeah, your cat skills. You know more about that than I do. I guess you switch your passive skills between mobbing and bossing.
Yeah, basically it's the top 3 one always stay, and then like the formation attack. I think 1 is IED that I switch around.
Okay, that's it. Yeah. No, yeah.
The top 1 formation attack is damage, and then the IED is.
I was thinking you might use cat, but it's just friend launcher, and that's like probably the most useless skill in the entire game, right?
Yeah. Then if I like ever like want to try like the leopard mobbing, then I just go to 3-point bounce.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like using friend launcher as in cat mode beast tamer is the closest you can get having the experience of being a perma beginner. Like, like it just doesn't do anything, right?
I think it heals when you put points in the cat mode.
It heals the boss that you're hitting, or
no.
That's how bad it damages. It actually heals the boss. Yeah, no, like it heals your party members. I think, yeah. Yeah. It's like Angel Ray Light or something. All right. Yeah. Okay. I think we went through everything. Anything left you want to ask, or I see you're not in a guild. Are you open to joining a guild in EU right now? Maybe Puzzle is recruiting.
That's basically going to be the Lucid parties that I'm gonna start either this week or next week.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if there's not too many guilds, so they probably have their own specific requirements of what you need to hit, right? But yeah, guild skills are huge. Guild skills are massive. So if you already feel like Lotus and Damien are fast now, and you're just doing your regular weeklies, you pop on guild skills, it's going to be so much faster. So you'll be good. But yeah, if any pro EU guilds want a up and coming 250 plus beast tamer, hit up Pudi in the game. He's a free, what do you say? Free agent, right? Any scouts? Hopefully you get the first.
Also like regular, like just random Lucid parties every now and then.
Yeah, that works.
That
Do people
like
use the boss menu quite a bit?
Usually it's like 20 plus stats.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're getting closer to hard Lucid stuff, right? When people are going like 30 plus.
Yeah, that is like hard Lucid.
Mm-hmm. Which, if you have fast attackers, is about the same duration. Same thing with Will. You can't really go much faster than the tests in Will, so. Did you practice some Will already, or no?
No, I haven't at all.
Okay. One thing you can do is have !Will. I've got some advice there. One is like a video where I talk a little bit about the mechanics, and there's some mini games that people made as well where you can practice some things about how the attacks happen and how you can dodge certain things, so you can get a little bit more comfortable with what you can expect in the different modes. One of the main things with Will is that you have this thing called Moonlight. It's going to be a yellow circle on your screen. You can move it around to wherever you think is the most visible to you, but it'll be a bar that slowly fills up as long as you don't get hit by things. So the more you dodge, the faster it'll build up. And once the icon in the middle lights up, you can use your NPC chat function or your harvest, whatever it is, right, to activate it. And every single stage is going to have a different thing that happens when you activate it. So in phase 1, there are 2 dimensions, a purple one and a blue one. And you'll need to get both of their HP down equally, down to 0 for that phase. And then you have to do a test. And if the test is successful, you go to the second part of their HP. You do the same thing, the second test, and then you get to the third part, and then you do a third test. And if that one is successful, you go to the second phase. And the second phase has one test in the middle and in the end as well, because you have 2 phases. But if you use your Moonlight in the second phase, you have to use that to be able to heal. Healing is blocked there, so you have to dodge a lot. Don't get it, you have healing familiars there will help us a lot, which they don't have in Korea. But then you have to use Moonlight first and then use a potion to be able to heal if you do get low on health. So it's even more important there to dodge properly and to look at the patterns, look at what the boss is doing, where he's hitting. And then in the third phase, if you use Moonlight, you'll be immune to getting sealed by spider webs that appear on the map. And if you walk through them, up to 2 webs you can disappear with your Moonlight. So again, dodging is very important there with the party. And everyone keeps the map clear of spider webs, because if you walk through it, you take damage, but you also get sealed, hard sealed. And at that point, you cannot use movement skills. And for some parts of the boss fight, you will have to use a movement skill. If you don't, you'll die. That's also one of the practice things, like the P3 practice thing is learning how to move on time so you don't get hit by the skill. But if you get sealed, then you can't use it. So it's a combination of doing those 2 things at the same time. But if you have 6 people, and people cleanse somewhat regularly, it's okay. But if you're like 3 or 4 man party, people are dead, and once you're dead, the bar doesn't go up. You don't accumulate Moonlight. So you might end up with a whole map full of webs, and then there's nowhere left to stand. Everyone gets sealed, everyone dies, and then the whole thing becomes a disaster. But the hardest part is usually the part 2 one. The test in part 2, doing that one properly, not dying there. That's typically the hardest thing for most people in the beginning. So you can already practice that a little bit and see what you have to expect. It's basically just a recording of the test, and you get to move like a character around to see the positioning. And if you fail, or you get hit, or you just don't do it correctly, it'll give you a little pop-up so you can practice it already. So I would check that out.
I think most is gonna be like a progression party.
Yeah, and everyone's gonna be failing, all the time. But yeah, I think it feels good to just have a little bit of an idea of what you can expect, Because once you go to hard will, compared to normal, the Moonlight refreshes way more slowly. So you want to get to the point where you can do normal without barely ever using your Moonlight, basically. That's when you're in a good position that you can switch to hard and be okay there. Because not only does it recover slower, there's also the little purple balls that fly around will also give you negative Moonlight, so they actually take Moonlight away from you. So just regularly being okay with how big are the hitboxes, where is he moving, where can I stand, where can I not stand. That's going to come in very, very handy as you go to the higher level difficulty of Will. All right. Yeah, I guess that's just the last thing I wanted to...
Yeah, I think that's all.
To leave you with. But I think we're good. All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Yep. Thank you.
And I'll see you around. Good luck in EU, and hope you find a cool guild soon.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, cool. So hopefully there was some stuff in there that helped you out. Any Beast Tamers represented once again. It's been a while, but they out there. We out here. There are dozens of us. Another EU player. Puzzle snatch him up before he's taken. No, I'm just just kidding. I don't know what the EU guild meta is. I just know that a bunch of puzzles people have done sessions with me so far. So yeah, if you're in a similar situation and hopefully you picked up 1 or 2 things that helped you out in that. If you're just training, grinding, or trying to fall asleep, hopefully you've done that. Shh, don't want to wake you. And if you need any of these commands, make sure to check ! and then the name of the command in the Twitch chat over at twitch.tv/Scardor. Even when I'm offline, you can use those. And if I'm online, you can immediately ask for extra information. And I will try to do that. If you like the session, you want one of these for yourself as well, check out !coaching in Twitch chat, or check the description of the video. There are 3 ways you can get these sessions. 1 is through a direct donation. 2 is by using the points you get from watching my stream if you are subscribed. And 3 is by leaving a comment saying you would like to win one of these sessions by leaving your Discord name. And at the end of the month, I pick 2 winners, and you could be one of them. So if you're interested in that, please do. Yeah, with that all said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. And either watch another one that might appear on your screen here, or I will see you on the next video, or maybe live on stream over at twitch.tv/Scardor. I stream there every day, so don't be afraid to pop by. Thanks for watching. See ya.